session today. Do you think we're also in for a correction at some stage?
Kate, the market doesn't move up in a straight line, but for the time being, things are looking pretty good. We're just a few trading days away from Christmas, and not only are we seeing strong volumes, but we're seeing a strong performance by the market. Coming into year end, we knew that a big swing factor would be the fiscal cliff, and that's really what the market's focused in on today. Some news and speculation that Obama would look at no tax increases for anyone earning under $400,000 was seen as a huge positive in terms of implications for growth in 2013. Previously, he had been pushing for $250,000. So it does look like $1.2 trillion worth of revenue in new revenue from tax increases over the next 10 years and $930 million in terms of spending cuts, which the market is looking at the moment. And that was good news for markets around the region. One other thing we're watching is Japan very closely. We saw a new political party coming into power over the weekend. The Bank of Japan meets tomorrow, and expectations are that we could see the Bank of Japan increasing and expanding its asset purchase program as early as tomorrow's meeting, and that would have a positive implication for risk assets, especially Japanese risk assets. So on the back of that, we've seen the Aussie dollar versus the Japanese yen reaching a 19-month high. But altogether, a fantastic day for most sectors of the market. The only exceptions really were in the property, the information technology and the energy space. But also we saw a number of companies reaching 52-week highs. And this is an interesting one because we are seeing some of those specialty retailers really outperforming. Super Retail, as well as Cash Converters and Fantastic, all reached 52-week highs today. We also saw Certex continuing its good run in 2012, and of course Australand, that speculation around merger and acquisition activity. Good news for the stock. That's another stock reaching a 52-week high.
Yeah, Julia, you mentioned the fiscal cliff negotiations and that deal that Obama has put on the table, but that didn't seem to generate much positive momentum in the market today. I think before that we were sitting up about 0.7%, I guess, on the tick up in the iron ore price, etc. What about Wall Street tonight? Do you think it'll open with a nice leg up on the back of that?
Well, we are seeing the US futures up by 0.3%, pointing to a positive start. And if we have a look at risk assets, such as commodity plays, we have seen a good session. The Japanese market is the one market which really stood out around the region, outperforming gains of more than 1% once again. And we'll be watching that BOJ meeting very closely tomorrow. But altogether, it does look like markets feeling a little bit more positive around some of the news which is leaking out around those fiscal cliff negotiations. And altogether, it does seem like a little bit blasé, pretty confident that we're going to see a deal before Christmas, but there's not a lot of days left.
And Julia, on the back of that news out of Japan, or the talk about Japan you just mentioned, I can see ERA up about 7%, Paladin up a whopping 12% today. These are uranium stocks that are gaining on the back of that Japanese election result. We know that the new government is pro-nuclear. My question is, why didn't we see this run up prior to the election? We knew that the party was set to win. Why now? Why so reactionary?
I guess some of the comments coming through from post-election have been good news in terms of nuclear stocks. We've seen 54 nuclear plants being shut down in Japan on the back of that Fukushima disaster that we saw a couple of years ago. So we have seen nuclear stocks, uranium stocks doing very well. In fact, TEPCO, which was the company which was running the plant which ran into a disaster a couple of months ago, just this week is up a massive 51%. Not only that, uranium prices have started to recover as well. In mid-November, we saw uranium prices hitting a 2.5-year low at just over 40 US a pound. We've now seen a recovery in prices as well to 45.50 a pound, and that has good news and implications for uranium stocks. We've seen brokers becoming more positive on uranium stocks. Yesterday, we heard from CIMB with one naming Paladin as one of the 10 cheapest stocks on the Australian share market. Today, we saw UBS increasing its recommendation on Paladin up to a buy. So altogether, that's been great news for uranium stocks. Paladin shares absolutely soaring, but ERA also doing well in today's market, up by 7.3%.